Rant on Reels. On today's podcast, we talk about Isn't It Romantic? Fighting with your family, and Xavier tries to stump me on movies.
I
I'm
have
Michael
the
Fooch.
world's greatest trivia, folks.
I'm Michael Fooch.
And I'm Mr. Xavier Bonnet.
How you doing, Xavier?
I'm doing good because you're about to get schooled, son.
Schooled? Are you seem really excited about this.
I'm excited to embarrass you in front of all your fans.
Like I embarrassed you?
I was not embarrassed because
You didn't even get 10 right.
My ego is still intact, and that's all that matters.
I hope all of you guys are enjoying your Oscar night. I will not be watching, as talked about last week.
We're filming it right now, right? During the Oscars.
Right in the middle.
All right.
So let's talk about some movie news from this week. Did you hear Thor is going to be playing the Hulk?
What? What do you mean? I did not see that in the news. What are you talking
Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, will be playing Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
So not a Marvel story.
Okay. Well, that wouldn't right over my head. Okay, fine. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I like that.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure if Chris Hemsworth can pull off Hulk Hogan.
I don't know. It's a Netflix bio film.
No, I'm kidding. He could easily do it. He's like 6'2", chiseled like a Greek god.
He's gonna look.
I don't know if he'll have the pythons to do it, but he'll definitely have the look to him.
We'll see. Netflix goes either really bad or really good.
That's true. You are right about that. You think he will do a good job?
I think so. He can maybe pull it off. That era I wasn't born in that era of WWE. I was born in more like the Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin era.
It is fitting that this is a story for today because we're going to be talking about fighting with your family. I guess I'll ask you this question later, but I'm curious to know if you're a big WWE fan because I grew up loving Hulk Hogan. So I'm interested to see if they can make a good Hogan movie on Netflix.
Fair enough.
Any other news for this week?
Yeah, we got the King is back playing some basketball. We got Space Jam 2 starring LeBron James.
You know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm not excited for this movie. And
I'm not either. To be honest.
Can I tell you something? I know this is a little out there, but if I'm making a Space Jam 2, I might change the premise. We've already had a Space Jam basketball movie. How about we get Tom Brady, or you know what, a younger guy like a Patty Mahomes, and make a Space Jam 2 that takes place with football.
Football, or maybe even soccer, basketball.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel something else.
Something like that.
Like we've seen this. Like, what are you gonna do? You just make the exact same movie?
Yeah. Well, LeBron wants to be featured in. He wants to be like.
Oh, I think LeBron James is gonna pull this off great. We know he can act. He's hilarious. I think the movie could be okay, but I'm just curious to know how they're gonna do it because they've already made it.
Yeah, they've already made it. It's pretty much just gonna be a clone. I guess they're making their version of Space Jam for this generation of LeBron lovers.
I don't know. Maybe because I guess it makes it's easy with basketball. You only need 5 people on the court, right? Yeah. Whereas the other sports you need a little bit more.
I'll be interested to see all the cameos from all the other players and everything like that.
Yeah, what 2 teams they would take the powers from?
Golden
State and the Boston Celtics.
Oh, maybe the Raptors. You could see. I mean, Kawhi.
This is an American movie. Kawhi Leonard probably won't be a Raptor going into next year.
That's true.
Maybe the Rockets.
Oh, the Rockets. They could be the Rockets. It could be All Stars because didn't they just take everybody from?
No, it was the Knicks and whoever Barkley's team was at the time. Why can't I remember this team? It's killing my life. But it was those 2 teams because they went to MSG, Madison Square Gardens.
Okay.
Yeah. Patrick Ewing was one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So I'm not looking forward to it. We'll see what they can do. They have the right star for it. That's for sure, though.
Yeah. We will see. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be a good one.
All right. Should we get into today's movies?
Yeah. Before we get started, though, be sure to follow us on Facebook. Are
we on Facebook?
LinkedIn. I was gonna say LinkedIn.
But are we even on Facebook?
Medias I'm talking about. We're not on Facebook. I just
You mean iTunes and YouTube and Instagram
and Spotify.
Yes,
My apologies,
be
guys.
sure to like us. Make sure you make some comments on how idiotic we are and how brilliant we are. Whatever you like.
We got our first hate comment, so I'm very excited. So more hate, please. I thrive off it. I'm like Tom Brady.
Also, be sure to turn us off at this point if you don't want spoilers, because this is a spoilers podcast. We do deep dives into all of these movies. We really nitpick and go into the stories pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to start with? Isn't It Romantic or Fighting with Your Family?
Let's do Isn't It Romantic?
Okay, sounds great to me. So, Isn't It Romantic? What are some of your opening thoughts with this movie?
I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not the biggest Rebel Wilson fan. She's always been, like I said, she plays the same character, and I'm not a big fan of that type of character. There's actors that play the same character, but I like the character, so it's fine with me. But I don't really like Rebel Wilson's character. But it is a rom-com, and it's very hard to screw up a rom-com. So that's my opening thoughts on the movie.
Well, my opening thought I will sum up in one word. Meh.
Meh. Okay.
Meh.
Wow.
I mean, if you like rom-coms, and I'm very big into rom-coms, you will like this movie because it follows the formula. So if you just want to go in and see a romantic comedy, you will like it. I doubt you will love it. It had everything you're going to need. It had some humor. It had some romance. It had some music. It had some dance numbers. So it has everything that a rom-com is supposed to have. But it's not by any means a memorable rom-com. It's not going to be How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or Pretty Woman or I Like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. It's not going to be anything like that. Notting Hill, just a guy standing in front of a girl. In fact, I'm 100% sure I'm not 100% sure what the plot was trying to do with this movie. In many ways, it seemed like to be a spoof of rom-coms, but because it was making fun of a lot of rom-coms, like we see at the beginning, some Pretty Woman. There was some My Best Friend's Wedding kind of aspects to it. They were making fun of these movies, but at the same time, they were making a romantic comedy. So I'm not exactly sure what they were trying to do. It's like they were trying to make fun of the genre, but then making a movie of the genre. So I don't really understand what the filmmakers... So
they're trying to do like a parody of the genre, but still...
made the genre.
Okay.
So,
right.
Yeah. Also, I gotta be honest, the camera work was very spotty at times. I felt at the beginning, for like the first 10 minutes in the movie, the camera was shaking. It was really kind of hard to watch.
That's never a good sign. It's like those poorly recorded videos on
I don't understand it. So my girlfriend's she's like, Michael, is the camera moving or is it just me? And I'm looking. I'm like, yeah, it's shaking. I'm trying to. It's hard to focus on what's going on.
Maybe he was drunk.
I don't know.
I don't know, but
on the job it got better. It got better. It was just the first 10 minutes. I don't know what it was. All right, so those are my opening thoughts. If you like the rom-com, you'll like the movie. But again, I'm not sure what it was. But I'm not sure what the movie was trying to do. So let's get started into this deep dive, and we're gonna start with our main character, the leading lady of this movie, Rebel Wilson's Natalie. And as a kid, Natalie is a lover of the rom-com. She
loves it. Amazing.
She's watching Pretty Woman with her mom, talking about how she wants to be Julia Roberts. And her mom's like, nope, you can't love it. Rom-coms aren't the way the world works. People like us, because she's a little bit bigger, you'll never find love. No one will ever look at you.
Wow, that's... We said that to a child?
Yes, yes. And,
okay, that's a little rough.
Very, very rough. But again, mom probably has had problems in her life and is putting it onto her daughter. So we go 25 years later, and she's now she becomes a cynic. She is an architect, and she's kind of a pushover around the office. She doesn't really communicate well with people. She at work, they tell her to clean up after them, to get she's the coffee person, go get me coffee. She needs to go fix the printer. In fact, as she's on her way to work, there's a food cart that's rolling down the street, and the food cart owner is like, "You look big, go stand in front of the food cart." And she just gets hit by this food cart. It's a little too much.
Mean.
So then
Hateful.
she also goes on this 3-hour rant. Well, we just get bits and pieces of it on why rom-coms are stupid.
Wow, so someone really made her upset. Why rom-coms?
Because that's like the ultimate, like, quote unquote fake love, right? That's what everyone looking for. Personally, it's it's a story. Like any story out there, like the perfect world that you would see in some other movies, people would be like, well, there's no such thing as a perfect world. But that's the idea of storytelling, to show you a better world out there. I'm not saying that you need to be like, I'm looking for my Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. I'm looking for this this man in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Or like The Notebook, as we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for my soulmate. But the idea that it might exist, I think that's important.
Oh, you're hopeful. You just look at the glass half full and not half empty.
So she also has a best friend named Josh who basically stares at her all day, but she's under the assumption that he's staring at the billboard of Priyanka Chopra.
Okay.
Because she's like a bikini model in the movie. Now, on the way home, she gets mugged. And as she's getting mugged, she just smacks her head. And this kind of leads us to the premise of this rom-com. She's stuck in a romantic comedy.
Okay.
So she wakes up, and the doctor that's working on her is like this doctor right out of a movie, this gorgeous doctor, and he's flirting with her. She gets freaked out by this, and the hospital, as she leaves, gives her this white dress, which is the Pretty Woman white dress that Julia Roberts gets when Richard Gere gives her a credit card to go buy things. New York City, that normally smells like garbage, smells like lavender, and all of the shops in the area, instead of being like dirty shops, they're all like love shops. So like chocolate and cupcakes and flowers and dresses. When she's on her way home, she gets like almost hit by a car because she's like, "What's going on here?" And the limo that she gets hit by, the gentleman who comes out is Liam Hemsworth. So like the
other Hemsworth brother.
Yes, the Gale from Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But he's like dressed in a suit. He's built like a tank, and he just immediately falls in love with her. He's like, "Let me drive you home." So he drives her home, and then he grabs a flower and writes down a digit on each element of each petal of this flower, and then throws it all in the air and says, "Call me."
That is
because that's a rom-com, right? She'll just magically know the number.
Yeah, has that happened in a rom-com before?
No. But
okay.
But again, this movie that's why I'm saying this sounds like a spoof movie, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like
what you're going to see a lot of is very spoofy. When she gets into her apartment, it's not the same apartment. It's huge. It's beautiful. She's got all the shoes in the world. She actually calls 911 and complains to the police officer. She's like, I think someone broke into my house and replaced all my stuff with nicer stuff, and my dog is cleaner, and I have all these shoes. Like, it's just, it's not even funny.
Oh,
like,
man.
I ask you this question. Like, if you went home and your bedroom was like, was
way better than I thought it was?
Yeah. How would you call the police and be like, I need to go back to the old way?
Maybe she's just a good person and wants to do the right thing. Yeah. But if that was me, I would not say anything. I'd just like, okay, I think I'm like in some sort of social experiment. So I'd look for cameras to see if they're watching how I would react or something like that.
It's an apartment building.
You never know.
It's like a one-room apartment. Anyways, So we also in her bedroom is her gay next door neighbor, and is like 90s gay flamboyant. So like this like the gay best friend, and she kind of is like she's like this is so anti-gay. Like you're acting like this stereotypical gay guy, and that's kind of what the story's going for though, right? It's going for like the old 90s stereotype.
Okay.
Not the way it's supposed to be perceived. So he's the person that's supposed to give her all the advice and this and that.
It tells her everything. Okay.
So at work, she is now the star architect in charge of everything. So she gets so upset. She goes to her friend Josh, who she thinks is the only normal person, and Josh ends up saving they go on a walk, and Josh ends up saving the life of Priyanka Chopra. Who we find out her name is Isabella in this movie. So he leaves Natalie and goes with Isabella to get to know her a little bit better.
Oh, like a rom-com.
Oh, yes. Because she's going to find out that she likes him the entire time, that we already know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like a rom-com. So she gets all upset. She starts to try to swear. But every time she swears, like there's like a honking of the horn or something like that.
Yeah.
So she gets so upset, she goes and tries to throw herself in front of a train, but she broke in, like she didn't pay for a ticket, so the cop arrests her and says, "You have one phone call to make." And she's like, "But I don't have any numbers. I need my cell phone." It's like, "You can't have it. You just have to call someone." But she has all those pedals, so she throws all the pedals on the floor and they make a number.
And it's a magic number, and it just so happens to be the correct number.
Yes, Blake, Liam Hemsworth comes to her savior, and she has this thought that maybe if she gets Blake to fall in love with her, she can go back to her normal life. Because God forbid, like this 6'2" guy who's fancied her, she would want to stick with him.
Yeah, I don't know why she would not want to. Okay. We'll roll with that.
So this leads us to Blake. So they have this romantic date. They have dinner on a yacht. They go get ice cream, and they break into this ice cream store that's closed. And they're sitting on the counter eating ice cream.
And it just looks so magical.
It's magical, right? And they're talking about their favorite flavors, and his two favorite flavors, like the worst flavor ever. And she makes fun of him for it. And then they go back to her place, and they're about to have sex.
Whoa.
And then they wake up the next morning.
It's a children's podcast.
I know. And then that's the whole point, though. They wake up the next morning.
Oh.
And he comes out of the shower wearing a towel and be like, "Morning, sweetheart. And she's like, "Wait a minute. We didn't have sex." Because it's a children's movie. So she goes and jumps him. And then it kind of, it's like a Groundhog Day thing where like she keeps waking up because she keeps trying to sleep with him. But because it's a PG movie, she can't swear and she can't have sex.
So they just wake up. So it's implied.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Funny premise.
Yeah, it's funny.
Good.
I mean, again, there's some humor in this movie. It's not really executed well, but that's for later on.
Whole issue.
Yeah. So at work, she starts to struggle because she's never at work and she's never had to actually plan a building before because she's always done the parking garages. So she gets Josh. Josh comes over to her house and brings food for her. And the two of them talk until Blake shows up and then makes things awkward. So Josh leaves. And then the next morning, the Blake and Natalie are walking around and they run into Josh and Isabella. And they get in.
Josh is played by Adam Devine.
Yeah, Adam Devine's character.
Okay. Right.
And they basically decide to go to the Hamptons for the weekend together.
So
all four of them.
For a couple date. Ooh.
And she's starting to realize, or Natalie is starting to realize, that she's actually in love with Josh.
Oh.
So the two of them get some one-on-one time, and Josh kind of lets it slip that, before you met Blake and I met Isabella, I kind of liked you. And she's like, "But you never asked me out." And he's like, "I asked you out all the time. I asked you to go to karaoke. You always made fun of it. I just assumed you weren't interested." And like then Isabella calls him over, and then they announce they're getting married tomorrow.
Oh. How long were they together?
A day, maybe 2, maybe 3, somewhere in between 1 and 3 days.
Does that even happen in rom-coms?
I don't think so.
Wow, that's okay.
So that night they decide to go to karaoke, and Natalie's like, I'm gonna break up this wedding because if I break up this wedding to make Josh fall in love with me, maybe I can go back to my normal life. So she goes into karaoke to break up this wedding, and she decides to go sing. And she's never sang before in her life, and she makes fun of it.
Terrible.
So she starts singing, and it's like the quiet singing voice, and she's about to run away, but then the audience starts singing with her, and then it becomes a huge music and number dance where everyone is singing in the audience.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, how did everyone know the choreography? My question at this point though is, Blake kind of disappears, like he's not there
Anymore. So he just leaves.
conveniently. Was not at this point while she's kind of flirting with Josh, but whatever. So the next morning, she ends up breaking up with Blake because Blake tells her like, "Oh yeah, I'm a billionaire. You're just gonna you're gonna be a housewife, and you're gonna take my name." And she's like, "I think you should switch your first name too."
Oh,
The standard issue,
yeah.
wrong guy kind of thing.
I think you switch your first name to what?
Oh, what did this say? You're not a Natalie. You're a. Oh, I don't remember what it was, but it was something stupid.
Oh, okay.
Gertrude, maybe.
Gertrude. Wow,
I don't remember. So then she decides, I'm gonna go break up the wedding. So she runs to the wedding, but it's in slow motion. One of those things she said she hated about it. So it's like a slow motion run. It's not really that funny. So she gets to the church and decides, stop! I'm breaking up this wedding. And she's talking about how like there's dialogue, and then eventually she's like, wait a minute, I love me. So this movie wasn't about loving Josh, it was about loving herself. So she runs out of the church, and Josh's like, so you're not trying to break up this wedding? And she's like, no, I'm good. I love me. I'm good. I'm happy. She steals the bride and groom's car, but crashes it, hits her head, and she wakes up back in the real world.
And then she's taught to love herself.
Yes,
what a nice
and
lesson.
She's now more confident. She's no longer the pushover at work. She confronts Josh and basically says, you need to stop looking at that model and look. And he's like, I'm not looking at the model. I've been looking at you. And he doesn't do it in that creepy of a way. And then they kiss, and then like, we should go out. And then the movie ends with a musical number. Kind of back from like the non-rom-com world. I just have one question. I have a couple questions about this movie. Okay. So the first question I have, wouldn't you want to live in a rom-com?
I mean, it didn't sound like a terrible world to live in. I mean, you seemed pretty successful, lots of money, it smelled nice. Seems like a happy place, but some people don't want to be happy.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you're running away from happiness. It kills my life. I'm like, I wish life was a musical, because then everything would be all sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Yeah.
And is that really a bad thing? People treating you with respect and dignity and nice, and you have people who love you, and there's no real crime on the street.
No, because it's fake.
But if it was real, we're saying, like, we're asking if you want to live in that world.
Oh, that'd be a wonderful world to
That's
live
what
in.
I'm saying.
Everyone's obsessed with dark movies now, so
I just like that. That's where I have a couple criticisms of this movie, and that's one of them. Like, it doesn't make sense that she wouldn't want to live in a rom-com. Am I missing something? Like, why wouldn't I want to live in a rom-com? Like, what would be so bad about it?
I have no idea. I'd feel that rom-coms doesn't seem like a terrible thing to live in, right? It's you're just having a good time, living, loving life, It's a beautiful place to live in. I love love and hate hate.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I would totally want to be in one. My next question for you is, a key attribute to a good romantic comedy is being invested in either the plot or, normally more importantly, the characters, like wanting to see them together. Were you invested in any of the characters in this movie?
No.
Yeah, not me either. I wasn't rooting for them at all. I could care less if they came together in the end.
It wasn't very engaging.
No, not at all. You know what I felt this movie was like? This movie is pretty much like I Feel Pretty.
Oh,
It was
I
this
didn't see. I feel pretty, but
You didn't see I Feel Pretty? Oh, you didn't miss much. It's pretty much like that, a rom-com, except it pushes the romantic part to the secondary, and it's about it makes the kicker, the important thing is about loving yourself.
Mhm.
So I just have a question about that aspect. What do you think about this premise? About movies today trying to make you think about loving yourself? You think that's a good aspect to movies or a bad aspect to movies?
I think nowadays, because there's a lot of people in toxic relationships, that it's not a bad premise per se. It's just the execution isn't well. Like we haven't seen a good movie that talks about loving yourself. These two movies aren't very. The two movies don't seem very well that so far. So I feel pretty in this. Not haven't hit the nail on the head, but it is important to love yourself before you can love another person.
See, I'm gonna take the opposite on this one. I think that one of our big problems today, our movies are all about, or social media is all about loving yourself. I need to post pictures of myself. I need to do all this about me. It's all about me. We should be making movies more about communicating, more about relating with people.
Yeah, I feel that's a good point with the social media. I would argue that the problem with social media though, it's all pretty much fake. People are taking pictures, but it's not real. Like they're just posts. No one goes on post social media posts. Hey,
But it's the idea of loving yourself, right? The
Yeah.
whole aspect is do I love me, right? It's what we're seeing about each other. Whether or not it's actually true is irrelevant. We don't
Yes.
communicate anymore as a society, I don't think. Anyway,
fair
well,
enough.
our last question before we talk about like some of our flaws.
This got real deep.
Do you think do you think Rebel Wilson is a front lady or is she just an ensemble actress?
I don't know. Like it depends on if you like Rebel Wilson's character, she can be. This is for me strictly. I don't see it, but other people really love Fat Amy and that character in Rebel Wilson. So
But see, I'm glad you brought that up because I think this is the problem. See, I'm not a big Rebel Wilson fan either, but what people like about Rebel Wilson is the fact that she just kind of says what she wants to say. She has no filter.
yeah,
But your leading lady can't have that, right? It's everyone else is the crazy. The leading lady's got to be the kind of the sane one that kind of keeps everyone calm. Right? You see that in all of Rebel Wilson's movies, whether it be Pitch Perfect or something else. Right? She can say whatever she wants because she's not the star.
yeah.
And in this movie, it's everyone else acting crazy, and she's got to be the straight girl for a change. And I think it's hard for her to do. We don't get to see that normal humor you would get from her come off. And I mean, she's the perfect probably character for this movie. But I don't know if she's the front. I don't know if she's a leading lady. She at least hasn't proven it to me yet. Any negatives you have for this movie?
Let's hear your negatives.
Okay. I think this movie tries to because it tries to satire romantic comedies, but it actually is making one. I think that's the biggest flaw of this movie. I think that you can't mock sincere emotion and then get an audience to feel a connection with your characters. The entire concept of a romantic comedy is to create a romantic relationship between two people. You know, one of my personal favorites is You've Got Mail, and you have these two characters that hate each other at the beginning, and we see Tom Hanks trying to bridge the gap and and make Meg Ryan fall in love with him. We see this in Sleepless in Seattle and in My Best Friend's Wedding and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, if you don't have sincere emotion, we can't fall in love with those characters. Whereas in this movie, it's making fun of sincere romance, right? It's like saying, "Ew, romance, it's gross." Well, how do you want us to feel? We can't have that. We can't feel a connection with these characters.
That was a very good point, and I agree. That might ruin. That might lower the score for me.
What would you give this movie out of 10?
Give it a 6 out of 10.
Six. I'm gonna go 6.5. You know what? I'm gonna go 6.5, and I'm gonna say 6.5 simply because if you like a romantic comedy, you will like it. It doesn't botch. This movie does not botch what a romantic comedy is about, or the model that a romantic comedy should follow. So if you like romantic comedies, you will enjoy this movie. It just won't be up there with some of the other movies I listed.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get away from that and let's move on to Fighting with My Family.
Woo!
So Xavier, what are your opening thoughts on Fighting with My Family?
So this is one of those sleepers for me. Meaning, like I saw this, I'm like, oh, this is interesting, but I didn't think it was gonna be. I didn't have high hopes for it, but boy was I wrong. I really, really enjoyed this film. I felt the connection with the main character, Paige. I understood where her brother was coming from, right? Coming to terms with that. And just seeing that story flesh out, it made me be like, oh, I kind of want to take a look back into WWE again. I probably won't, but it made me think about it for a quick second or two.
I have a question for you before I give you my opening thoughts. Do you like wrestling?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did.
Yeah. Sorry. Did you watch it when you were younger? You're an old man now. We all know.
Yeah, I did.
So who was your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler was Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie, R.I.P.
I know, rest in peace. He's a legend. Eddie Guerrero. I really liked Kurt Angle.
Love Kurt.
Big fan of, obviously, Rey Mysterio was really big. The Rock, right? I grew up watching those guys, right? I grew up 90s era and like early 2000 era WWE.
I was a wrestling nut. My friend Eric, he is a wrestler. If you ever have an opportunity to if you are a wrestling fan, and you want to go see a show, go take a look at Eazy-E Eric Carney. The guy's fantastic. He knows what he's doing. Models himself after Shawn Michaels, who's one of my personal favorites.
Classic.
But I grew up watching Hogan. Like when I was young, I was watching Hogan. And then I grew up and I started watching Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold, The Undertaker. So many great wrestlers. When did you stop watching wrestling?
This is probably when the rise. Like I didn't hate John Cena, but it was around the rise of John Cena.
I watched religiously probably until WrestleMania 26 or 20. Still, sorry, 27 or 28. But I still watched a lot of the pay-per-views. I didn't watch it I would watch like every Raw and every SmackDown and every pay-per-view. Like we would get together and rent all the pay-per-views. And again, partly Eric is that's what he did, so it made it easy. I remember watching Paige. I saw her she made her debut the day after WrestleMania 30. And WrestleMania 30 was probably the last WrestleMania I've seen. And I watched that Raw after, and I saw this. So to me, this isn't just a movie. This is this is a character or a person that I not grew up with, but I remember seeing. So it meant something to me. Okay. And I was kind of iffy on this movie. I wasn't really, I wasn't sure. But I will tell you this, Florence, and I might butcher her last name, Puig. She was the star of this show from the first moment she came onto the stage. I agree with that. She was fantastic as Paige. I mean, she was a strong female character. I felt a range of emotions through this movie, mostly because of her. There was some drama. There was a lot of comedic elements. Yeah. I like some of how you get booked, or The Rock being in this movie. He was hilarious. Mm-hmm. It was way, way more enjoyable than I thought it was. So I was really glad about that. It actually made me go back and read all about Paige and all about some of the other things that we saw in this movie. So
yeah, right after the movie, you started looking her up. I remember that.
Overall, to finish my opening thoughts after talking about wrestling, this was an overall crowd pleasing movie. So it's just if you're into a good feel good sports movie, this one follows the model perfectly.
Will it make the top 10 sports list of all time?
Oh no, I don't know if I wouldn't go that far. It's not, but it's a very, very good movie. how many sports movies there are? Man, I mean, like 5 of them could be Rocky movies.
That's true.
All right. So this movie kind of starts with Paige as a 13-year-old as she's hesitant to go into wrestling. So it starts off with her and her brother watching TV. The brother's watching wrestling, watching The Rock, and she kind of turns the channel. I want to watch Charmed, where she gets her name from, Paige. So they kind of fight, and the parents come in. They say, "What are you guys doing? You don't have them in the right headlock. You have to hold them. Come on, tighten up."
Yeah, it's hilarious because they're teaching the kids like wrestling. You can tell that this is a wrestling family from the get go, right? So it's a good introduction to where she's coming from.
And the parents, Ricky and Julia, they're both supportive of their kids into being wrestlers, and they want Paige to fight. And she's kind of hesitant. So like the brother's like, "Don't worry, I'll dress up as a girl in a Pink Ranger costume, and you can fight me." Because we get this idea right off the bat that Paige isn't really big into fighting other women. So that's what happens. And then we go to 5 years later where the whole family's fighting with each other. And we see clearly that they're all talented wrestlers.
Yeah.
And then after the match, they're on their way home and in the car. And the dad's calling WWE. "Have you gotten my kid's videotape yet?
Yeah,
Are they going to get
good.
their call? It's good.
It's
I trained them
amazing."
I trained them myself. And, they were not committal. And that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So then we get this idea of their lives. And we see that the brother, whose name is Zach, he and Paige, they kind of are important members of the community.
Yeah, they have their own wrestling rink where they teach kids how to wrestle
And
everything.
these kids they could be doing other things, right? We have the first kind of kid they pick up is kind of trying to get in with gangs, right? Selling drugs, and Zach like chases them down like, "We don't sell drugs. You either wrestle or you do the drugs thing." Right? So that like they are in this poor area of England, they are kind of, trying to bring some light. Like they're not perfect people, like they have their flaws, but they even one of the kids that they're training is a blind kid. So you can see that they're all good-hearted. So flaws but good-hearted.
They come from the right place.
So they're training. I just like the blind kid that they trained to wrestle. He's so funny.
He's great. He's just like, he just sits and listens. When he hears the music, he's like, "Okay." You just see the smile on his face.
Right? Because he's probably, again, like these kids that they're training have nothing else to do. It's wrestling that binds them together, and that's kind of the story that we get from the parents, right? Like the dad was in gangs and a criminal, and the mom was suicidal. They met each other, they found wrestling, and that was the thing that bonded them.
That put them together, and then they started the whole family. It's a good story. I even like that story, that backstory.
Oh, for sure. And then so Zach has gotten a girl pregnant, and the girl that she got pregnant with was coming over for dinner with the parents. Like they were in love. It wasn't one of those things where it's like
it's an accident, oops.
So I think it was a great scene in the movie that this was going on because the parents had no idea what wrestling was. So they show them a video. They explain if you're not a wrestling fan, they explain the entire premise of wrestling, WWE, and the importance of the title.
Yeah. That was great. That was a very good.
So you don't have to be a wrestling fan or know anything about wrestling to watch this movie. They put scenes in to help the audience understand what wrestling is, and that is again why the movie is so good. It's not for wrestling fans.
Yeah. Plus, it was just but there's a little bit nods to wrestling fans. I like the little cameo that they made at the beginning of all the little wrestling clips of major events and everything. Like
Absolutely. And even this scene, right? It has pretty much anyone who's anyone in this kind of scene. But it is for wrestling fans. Like wrestling fans will take something out of it. But my point is, it's not just for wrestling fans.
100%.
And this scene's in there. So at this dinner, they get a call from WWE, and both Zach and Paige, they are invited for this tryout. So they go to this tryout at SmackDown Live in London, and they meet The Rock.
The Rock was great. The Rock is great in a lot of movies.
Oh my God! And you know what? This is the one thing I really liked about this movie. That one of the themes, Zach asks Rock or The Rock how to what advice you have for me. How can I be? I want to be like you. And The Rock goes off on this like 45-second like tangent, but saying like every line he's ever had. What's your name? It doesn't matter what your name is. And then goes through every catchphrase he's had in his entire career.
Which is great.
It's brilliant. And then he's like, it was all a joke. Like, I'm not trying to be like rude. Like, that's me. I'm Dwayne Johnson. What you see in the ring is what you see out of the ring. Don't try to be the next me. Be the first you.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. It's some people think it's so corny, but it's just such a true. It's another. I feel like this is also like just finding who you are, right? Just for everyone that kind of feels like an outsider or anything like that, right?
You know, and you see this with a lot of wrestlers. Like, did you watch the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair?
No, I didn't.
Well, the Ric Flair that you would, they had his ex-wives and his daughter and his kids on this, and they were all saying like, the Ric Flair you see in the ring, that's the Ric Flair you see outside, right? Your character is normally who you are, right? I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, same kind of thing. You hear him in interviews. That's who he is. Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan everywhere, right? So it's important to find the person you are. And I thought like The Rock, who is a producer on this film, he was the spearhead on why this movie got made.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's good that he took this role, and that line, to me, sums up the entire movie. So, at this tryout, we meet the coach, Hutch, which is played by Vince Vaughn, who I thought did a great job in this movie.
Yeah, I didn't expect Vince Vaughn to, like... He's shown some range in this movie. Right?
I think he's always had range. Like, he played in Psycho, and he played Norman Bates in Psycho. Like, he's not... Like, he was in Swingers. Like, believe it or not, he was more dramatic before he was comedic.
That's fair enough. That is true.
So, I mean, I think he's always had it. He just gets to flex those muscles here. And I think he does a great job.
Yeah, 100%.
And now this is the idea of this movie. Like, because it is a movie, Hutch, his character, plays a bunch of different characters. Vince Vaughn represents 5 or 6 different talent scouts along the way that Paige would meet. It's just all summed up into his character.
Okay. That's the movie part, you know.
Yeah. So, as he's trying out, he only chooses Paige. Who's like, I'm not going unless you choose take my brother with you, because Paige is under this impression that it's just his dream.
Yeah.
And basically Zach says, no, you have to do it. So she finally decides, I'm going to Florida. So she joins NXT. And that when she gets to Florida, she really struggles to fit in.
Yeah. You can tell that right away, right? Seems clearly like a fish out of water.
Oh, yeah. Right? And this, I think it's because of her insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see a lot of, like, she doesn't really connect with the women there. And, you know, she views them all as cheerleaders and models who have no experience. And they're not good wrestlers, right? They were all cheerleaders and models who are now trying to make a name in WWE.
Plus, you kind of see it at the beginning of the film, right? Those girls kind of looked like the same girls that made fun of her.
Yeah,
at the
they were the
right?
mean girls of the film.
Yeah.
Right? And all the pretty girls in England, they don't like wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? They view wrestling as weird. Mm-hmm. That's how she sees it. So she doesn't really know how to interact with them. And in England, we know she doesn't wrestle women wrestlers, right? She wrestles men. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't really have this experience. And this leads to her being very isolated and just away from everything.
Alone, right? Just you see her, she's always just on her phone or trying to connect with her family back home.
Yeah. And as a result of this isolation, she pretty much struggles with everything along the way in NXT, right? She struggles on the mic. She struggles with her weight training, with her cardio. Yeah. Because she's always by herself. She says she doesn't sleep.
Yeah. So mentally, she wasn't there, right? It's a big mental game as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. And what does she do to try to fit in?
She changes herself completely.
Yeah. Colors her hair blonde. Blonde, tan.
Blonde and tan.
So finally, and this doesn't work, as we probably know, right? Don't be the next me, be the first you. So on her last kind of trip before the Christmas break, she just breaks down and goes to these girls because she thinks they're talking about her behind her back the entire time. And she finally has enough and says, "Why do you keep talking about me?" And they're like, "We're not." And like, "I can see you." And they show them the video. "I'm talking about my daughter. You know, I'm doing this all for her." It's like, "I didn't know you had a daughter."
You don't know anything about us.
Exactly. And now we hear the other side, right?
Yeah.
Because this movie is from Paige's perspective. We don't see them looking at the girls on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And again, so well done, right? These aren't mean girls. These are girls that you are pushing away, not girls that are pushing you away. There is a difference.
Mm-hmm. That's what made it really, really good, right? Because when you think about it, they never said anything mean to her.
No,
right?
they were very supportive right from day one.
Yeah.
Everything that was mean was really what Paige was saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry what happened. Like the girl she kind of like berated because she wasn't a good wrestler.
Yeah.
She goes to the other two girls and was like, I'm sorry, I'm just used to cheerleaders and models and people that have, that aren't here because they're good wrestlers. And one girl's like, I was a cheerleader, and the other one's like, I was a model.
Yeah, right.
Right? She alienates herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she has this one-on-one conversation with Vince Vaughn. Who's like, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe this wasn't your dream. Mm-hmm. So she goes back to England for Christmas, and with the assumption that she's not coming back. And we kind of she tells like her brother to help. Can you help me tell my parents? But the brother's been struggling himself.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it, but while Paige is going through struggling trying to make the WWE, her brother's struggling with the rejection, right? So you see him just sitting down, just upset, ignoring calls from Paige. He's not in a good place, right? His entire dream, he's just told that his dream, he's not good enough to live his dream, right?
His entire life was built a bit about being a wrestler.
Yeah.
So he's now isolating himself as well, but again, self-isolation. It's kind of paralleling Paige's story. Mm-hmm. But he's pushing away his family, right? His wife and his child, his training buddies. Yeah. Like the poor blind kid is all by himself.
Yeah, he keeps waiting and no one's helping him. The poor boy.
So during this Christmas break, that Zach and Paige have this match, and Zach goes off script and actually kind of hurts Paige. Mm-hmm. And then like the parents come and berate him, and they're like, "Well, I'm not the only one who goes off script. Paige is quitting," and this leads to a kind of arguments between all four members of the family.
Yeah,
where eventually both parents come around and say, "Paige, make your own decision." And Paige kind of has this conversation with Zach, and she finally realizes, wait a minute, this was my dream too. She's been so worried over the last 6 months about it being Zach's dream that he's losing out on, but it's also her dream. Mm-hmm. So she goes back, and when she returns to NXT, she takes on a different kind of perspective. She starts making nice with the girls that are there, right? She gives her Ultimate Warrior like teddy bear for one of the kids' daughter, for one of the wrestler's daughters.
She starts training with them.
Yeah, helping them out.
Helping them.
They help each other out, and she's now succeeding in every aspect, in the mic, with her weight training, with the cardio. And as someone else is about to quit, she's like, "No." And like, you do it. Come on. She's now a cheerleader for them too.
Yes, he's pushing them. It was very good. I loved seeing that.
It was just well done. The bonding, right? Like how she isolated herself, and now she's redeeming herself because it was her decision. It wasn't like the other people had to be nice to her. They were always going to be nice. Yeah. But her insecurities
got the best of her.
Yeah, and she learned from herself. So as this is all going on, Vince Vaughn, Hutch's character, he's just laughing, right? He's smiling because this is the girl that he was expecting when he signed her. Mm-hmm. So all these trainees from NXT, they get to go to WrestleMania 30. And I just want to talk a little about WrestleMania 30, okay? Because I remember this was the last WrestleMania I watched. And I don't know if you remember WrestleMania 30, but this is the WrestleMania that The Undertaker lost for the first time.
Oh, that was
This is the WrestleMania.
Oh, I didn't watch it, but I remember hearing about that. I thought that happened like 3 years ago.
No, the Undertaker retired 3 years ago.
That was that long ago? Oh my goodness!
I think we're around WrestleMania 36 this year.
Oh wow.
Anyways, so while they're watching WrestleMania, Paige gets called into the Rock suite. So after the Rock cuts his promo, because he was there with I think Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, the three of them, or there might have been someone else on the ring. Maybe it wasn't Shawn, but the three of them were doing this promo. and then or maybe it was Hogan. It might have been Hogan. But anyway, so he comes and he
Remember when
basically
The Rock beat Hogan? Sorry.
yeah, I was at that WrestleMania.
Really?
That was WrestleMania 18 in Toronto. I was there.
That was great. The ref gave him the chair. Oh man, it was amazing.
Man,
Great WrestleMania.
can I just tell you, The Rock got booed at that WrestleMania.
It's okay.
But no, but I want you to understand, like to try to push to make the Hulk Hogan a heel, they had him hit The Rock's ambulance with like an 18-wheeler truck, and he was still cheered in Toronto. They had to make him a face after. Anyways, so The Rock goes to this suite and says, "Hey Paige, when was the last time you talked to your parents? I think you should call them now." So she calls the parents, and the dad's like, "Who would call me during WrestleMania?"
I know.
And he's like, "Hi, is this Rick?" "Yes." "This is Dwayne The Rock Johnson." "I don't think so."
Yeah.
And he hangs up on him. And he calls back, and Paige is like, "Dad, it's really him."
He's like, "Oh." That was great.
And The Rock tells him that Paige is no longer in NXT, and everyone's all sad.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh."
And then it's like, actually, she's going to be signed to the main roster tomorrow and make her debut on Raw. And everyone's all happy.
And it was crazy. That was a great moment. You can really tell him like, oh, this is shock. I knew the funny thing is like, oh, so he's no longer part of NXT. I knew what was coming.
Oh
next,
yeah,
right? Like, we all,
absolutely.
right.
So then we get her Raw debut, and she's very nervous, and she's like, Hutch is knocking on the door. "Let's go, Paige." Mm-hmm. And she's like kind of nervous. She thinks she can't do this. The insecurities come back, and her brother calls her, and they have this heart to heart, and everything's good because the brother's now he's back into his training, helping all the people. He's kind of come out of his little depression. So she goes out to the ring. She's nervous and she freezes a little bit. And then once the match starts, she gets all comfortable. She wins the match. She wins the Divas title. And
says a great speech at the end.
Yep. And how this is my ring now.
Yeah.
This is my house. And then we get a little epilogue where she's still the youngest champion. The brother still trains everyone, including the blind wrestler who's now a professional
wrestler.
The dad is still trying to sell shares in the company. And The Rock has now become
famous.
The Rock went on to make many famous movies.
Oh yeah, successful.
A little bit fun. Career. So I think I told you as we were leaving the theater, I remembered Paige coming out. I didn't remember her freezing. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
So I went home and I rewatched Paige's debut. They did change that. She came out and she gave a promo before to congratulate AJ. So it wasn't I froze and AJ still slapped her, but there was talking before that.
Okay.
So my question is, do you have any problem with the decision to change that?
That's a good question. I think it's just for the Hollywood effect, because like, oh, she didn't really believe in herself, and then like, but now she's in her zone, so now she believes in herself. I think that was just strictly for Hollywood. You know how they do that sometimes, right? To make more of a dramatic effect. Like, what is she gonna do? Oh, I wish they made her say something though. I did wish that they did that.
They did at the end, right? That was the idea. We're gonna speak at the end. I was okay with it. I thought, like, again, this is a Hollywood movie. It's not about if you keep a story true word for word or scene for scene, life doesn't work like a story. There is no beginning, middle, or end. Like, right? Like, if you're telling a story, there might not be any conflict. So when you're making a movie, you need to help fill in the gaps of the story. If you don't do that, you're just making a documentary.
That is very true.
So I'm okay with some liberties. Having her talk before and not giving me my house speech, it doesn't really...
It doesn't resonate.
Change the story. It doesn't change the event that I saw. But it completes the story of don't be the next me, be the first you.
Yeah, because that was the main lesson of the movie.
Right? What she was going to be is the awkward girl from England. Mm-hmm. The not cheerleader or model that most of the other WWE divas at the time were.
Yeah.
Like, I go back to Trish Stratus, right? Sable and Sunny. You know, like they were very attractive girls. Now Trish could wrestle, but a lot of the divas couldn't. So I think that's a very important element to it. Do you need? So we kind of talked about this, but do you need to be a WWE fan to enjoy this movie?
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of people it goes for it. It kind of targets everyone. I feel like it's a kind of movie that you can see, the kids, the family, and if you're not into WWE, you can find it. It might spark an interest in it too after.
Well, it made me want to watch a little bit again.
Yeah, see, I was debating that as well, right? When I watched it too.
It's funny. The WWE goes through cycles, so they're on a children's cycle now, so it's not really for me anymore. But like when I was growing up, the Attitude Era, right?
Oh yeah,
that was huge.
I remember that.
The Generation X, the Austin 316.
Oops.
So
Did not mean to do that.
I don't think you need to. I think there's a lot of humor in this movie. You know, the one scene that I think of the most when I think of humor is so they're talking about being booked for a show. So like Rick, who the parents actually own their wrestling company. So Rick's talking to this wrestler beside him, and he's got this phone call. Would you? And he goes to him like, would you be okay with taking like the steel part, the steel lid of a garbage can to the head?
Face.
And he's like, I don't know. So he smashes him in the face with it.
And he's like,
yeah, I'm okay. And then he goes back, yeah, he'll do it. And then it's like, oh, I don't know. And he puts the phone down. He's like, what about taking one of these, a bowling ball, to the nuts? He's like, I don't know. I've never done it. So he hits him in the bowling ball with the nuts. He's like, yeah, I can do it. All right, he'll do it. So I thought that was funny. There's also there's a lot of humanity traits in it. Like there's insecurity, there's a lot of family, there's addiction, and of course just your dreams in general.
Yeah. Like handling rejection, right?
Yeah.
There's everything. They got everything in this movie. It's a complete movie.
And again, Florence Puig, she steals the show. Yeah. She's fantastic. She's a star in the making.
Yeah, I was like, I did not expect that movie to be I don't know how well is the movie doing so far.
I don't know. It came out this week, so we'll find out. Oh, it's doing good. I know it's done well on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't know how much money it made.
Oh, okay. Damn. 50 million.
50 million?
That's pretty good.
That's actually really good.
Yeah.
All right.
Considering the budget.
So, any criticisms of this movie?
For me, it's hard. I was really engaged with the movie, and when I get super engaged, I can't find. I'm trying to look for.
8 million. We're getting our word that our producers were wrong. It's not 50 million. It's only 8 million. So it didn't do as well as everyone thought.
Oh man. Well, at least we caught that before other people did. Yeah.
Right. Well, we could easily throw our producers under the bus because we didn't know. They were giving us numbers. Anyways, right. Sorry, criticisms you were saying.
It was hard for me. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't. I don't think it was perfect, but it was very, very up there for me. I think so far it's the best film of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's good. I'm impressed with that. I might have to go Happy Death Day too. I think still. But anyways, my problem with this movie isn't even about the movie. I don't think it was marketed well enough. Like they needed to this movie was not marketed at all. Like I can't even. I think that the movie needed to do a better job showing what it was. It wasn't a wrestling movie, or that it was based on a true story. It would. Also, I thought that it could have done a little bit better with cleaning up aspects of the story. But there's so small criticisms. Like it was a very good movie. If you like if you like this kind of genre, you will love this movie.
Yeah, like introduce like the older brother. The older brother didn't have much of a role, but even though it wasn't about him,
it was about the siblings.
It's just they introduced him a little bit, but.
Yeah, it was a little too standard. I guess if I have to find a criticism, it was just too standard. It didn't take too many chances outside of the loop. Mm-hmm. But the story was locked down, so nothing too crazy. All right, what would you give this out of 10?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Oh, me too.
Oh wow!
8.5.
I told you at the theater that I was giving this an 8.5. And you're like, I don't think it's that good.
You gotta digest the movie. You can't just there's the first watch, and then there's like a couple days later, you rewatch this movie in a year, you might have a completely different perspective of it.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? Recency bias is important. That's why I always say, like, right now, it's really good. If in 5 years, this movie might be a 10 out of 10 because you relook on it and you're like, wow, this was so much better than I thought initially.
Or it could be worse.
Right? All right, those are the 2 new movies this week. All right, Xavier, the moment your redemption that you've been waiting for.
Here we go. It's trivia night. Sunday night and the night of the Oscars. Let me just find it here. Okay.
All right, Xavier.
Okay. So, we have 20 quotes here. You guys can play along. Michael, do not answer right away when I say the quote. So we can have the audience answer it, okay?
Should we recap our audience what happened a month ago?
We don't need to recap that. What's the point of that? We're going into the future. Why would we need to look into the past?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
just because you're a history buff doesn't mean everything has to be about history.
I think they deserve some context. So 2 months ago, Xavier challenged me to some trivia, and he came up with 10 questions that were pretty soft by all accounts.
You're soft.
So I said I'll ask the questions next month, and I asked 20 movie quotes, and he had to figure out what movie the quote was from. And he did not do very well, under 50%.
11 out of 10.
Yes, with hints that I helped you.
So it wasn't under 50%.
It was like 8 out of 10.
11 out of 10 is not like 8 out of 10.
Yeah, but you got hints on those. They don't count. If you gave me a hint, I'm not taking the answer.
Oh, okay. You
anyway,
can get hints. So one hint's allowed.
This is Xavier's redemption. He's going to be asking me some questions. So let's see what he spent the last month coming up with.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. The first one is, I'm tired, boss. Mostly, I'm tired of people being ugly to each other.
Ouch. It's a toughie. I don't know the answer to this one.
Oh,
I feel like there's a Tom in as one of the actors in the movie. Maybe chocolates and boxes.
Chocolates and boxes. That's your answer?
No, hold on. I'm thinking. Maybe I'm trying to think. Dan's coming in my head. I feel like walking in nature. Forests and Gumps. Forrest Gump?
No. Would you like the answer, sir?
Yes.
It's the Green Mile.
Damn it! I was right with Tom Hanks.
What's up?
Oh, Boo Earns.
Oh man, that's.
Repeat the quote for me.
I'm tired, boss. Mostly, I'm tired of people being ugly to each other.
Ah, that's such a good one too. That's a good quote. That was on me. All right.
There we go. Oh, so it's not as easy as it looks, huh? This one you should get. If you don't get this, I don't know what to say to you. All right, number 2.
I should have thought about that. Go ahead.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh, come on. That's not even a fair question. That's so hard. Here's looking at you, kid. It's like it's from a 1943 movie or something like that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Is it a city in Morocco?
Might be.
Of all the gin joints in all the world, she had to walk into mine. We'll always have Paris. Play it for me, Sam. Play as time goes by. Is it Casablanca?
Yes. You got one. Congratulations. Okay, number 3.
I like how that was probably harder. No, it wasn't. Go ahead.
Number 3. There's no crying in baseball.
Oh boy. I feel like it's a baseball movie. Huh.
Is it?
Is there women in this movie? Like Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell? And is Gina Davis the star? I feel like Tom Hanks is in this one too. But I'm not going to say Forrest Gump this time. Is it A League of Their Own?
Yes. Okay, look at that. You got 2. Okay. Number 4. As my plastic surgeon always said, if you gotta go, go with a smile.
Is this a movie that I gave you? Huh.
I don't know. I forget. Did you?
I feel like if it's not, I'm thinking completely wrong. But I'm thinking of a Jack Nicholson movie. And did you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Is this trying to get me with a movie that I got you with?
No.
Is it 1989's Batman?
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So you got 3. Okay, this is the easy one.
Wait, was that the last one supposed to be easier? Or do you think you get me on that last one?
No, I didn't think I'd get you on that one. You followed Batman pretty 1989. That's your favorite one.
I'm not gonna lie. If you didn't say the last part of the quote, I think it would have been the first like 4 or 5 words. I was like, ugh, I have no idea.
Oh man. Okay. This one here. I have this one. Life moves pretty fast sometimes. If you don't stop and look, you could miss it.
Can you repeat that for me, please? I have no idea.
Life moves pretty fast sometimes. If you don't stop and look, you could miss it.
Life moves pretty fast sometimes. Trying to think. I have nothing.
Oh, really?
I don't even have like an idea, a genre that I can pick up from that one. So life moving fast. We're gonna deal with. Huh.
Give him a hint.
No, that's too big of a hint. Let's see. It's a high school movie.
Life K. Think of some high school movies. It's not American Pie. Actually, maybe it is American Pie. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Can you repeat it one more time? Life moves pretty.
Life moves pretty fast sometimes. If you don't stop and look, you could miss it.
Nah, I'll go American Pie. I'm not sure.
Sorry, sir. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No, I wouldn't have gotten that. That was tough.
Oh, damn! I'm sorry.
That's not a gettable. That would be a movie I would get from that one.
All right. Here's
I've seen that movie like a dozen times. I can't even picture the scene.
Wow. It's like near the beginning.
Give me context. Tell the audience the scene.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't even know. There you go. That's a bad one. I don't like that one. That one's a protest one.
Okay, whatever. I tried to protest, and you were like, no, you gotta know this.
Mine were all good, but go ahead.
Okay. It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
I don't know this one either. Oh, God, I know this one. I just don't know which one it is.
Oh. Like me.
Okay, it's definitely this. It's okay. I'll give the audience a couple more minutes, and it's the Star Wars franchise, correct?
Yeah.
It's the Millennium Falcon. It's Han Solo talking about the Millennium Falcon. It's just a matter of is it A New Hope or is it Empire Strikes Back? Because it's not Return of the Jedi, right? Well, if it's Return of the Jedi, I'm wrong. I'm not even thinking Return of the Jedi.
You can say what do you want to say. Which one do you want to say?
Well, I'm telling you, it's one of those two. So if it's Return of the Jedi, just stop me now from my thought process.
No, it's not.
Okay, perfect. So,
Would you like a hint?
no, I know it's one of those two.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Why would I want a hint for something I'm a 50-50 chance on?
Okay.
I mean, I feel like the first one makes the most sense, but like, repeat the quote for me.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
I can go Empire.
Well, you're wrong.
It's New Hope.
It's not that either.
What is it?
It's Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I told you, would you like a hint?
Well, you could
You
just
got the right actor.
What was the scene for that?
The scene, it's the
Like,
I don't know. This is me. Dave got this one. He's the one that showed me this one.
I don't know. Again, of all the quotes from Indiana Jones, that's the one you're going with?
In the bar.
And the come on, good
All
next
right.
one.
So this one, okay, I'll read this one. This is a classic one, but some people, I don't know, will hear it. I'll say it now. I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. But not just the men, but the women and children too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
Repeat it again.
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. But not just the men, but the women and children too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
I've heard this quote.
Yeah, you have.
The question is, what movie is it from? Okay, I don't think it's anything from the 30s. 40s, anything. I murder them. Is it a crime movie? Not just the men. I have no idea. I kill them all. I hate them. It could be a horror movie. Could be like Amity Horrorville. I don't even think I'm close. I think it's something completely different.
Would you like a hint?
Sure, give me a hint.
It's a major franchise.
Oh my god. It's the third one. Revenge of the Sith.
No.
I don't know.
It's Attack of the Clones. Close though. It's when Anakin talks to Padme about
Oh right.
the Tuscans.
I'm sorry, but the original three movies those three movies don't exist.
Well, you knew the quote.
Yeah, that one I didn't know. I've heard it before, but oh my, I've only seen that movie once.
Okay.
Twice when I rewatched the.
All right, this one is a little bit. Actually, I'm not saying anything about this one. Okay. God, I wish my life was a movie sometimes, you know? I would never have to worry about my hair or having to go to the bathroom. And then, when I'm at my lowest point, some guy would chase me down the street, pour his heart out, and then we'd kiss. Happily ever after.
Okay, it's a rom-com. Question is, which rom-com is it? Wish my life was a movie sometimes. I have no idea.
All right. Hint?
Sure.
It has a clone. It has a very clone of a movie. So another similar movie was released at the same.
I have no. I think
based on the same
I
premise.
have no idea.
Okay. Let me see. Oh no! If I say the hint, if I say
Just tell me
anything
the
else,
movie. I don't know.
Friends with Benefits.
Oh god, I wouldn't have gotten that.
You don't like Friends with Benefits?
I wouldn't have gotten that quote at all.
Really? Wow! I showed it to somebody else and they got it, and I was shocked. So
That's good.
I thought you would have got it.
Nah, never. No, you could have asked me any movie, any quote from that movie. I know nothing. I do not know. Go ahead. Next.
Okay. This one is your. Okay, this one's your. If you don't get this, I'll be shocked. Cause. Yeah, you know, I was getting along with everything fine. I accepted it, and then you happen. I do not need a reason to be angry with God.
I don't know. I don't know this one either.
Really?
Repeat it.
You know, I was getting along with everything fine. I accepted it, and then you happen. I do not need a reason to be angry with God.
No idea.
Oh my goodness. This is a walk to remember.
Yeah, no.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, no.
That's your favorite Nicholas Sparks movie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this one you have to get this one. This one I know you'll get.
Oh man, I'm sorry, these are not good quotes.
These are great
These are
quotes.
No.
Okay.
I read movie quotes. I play movie quote quizzes all the time, and these don't come up ever.
You're just upset. Okay. You probably heard. We ain't the.
Copyright.
You probably heard. We ain't the prisoner taking business. We in the killing Nazi business. And cousin, business is booming. You have to know this one. Because I thought this one was way too easy.
Feel like I know this one. Again, I'm not 100% sure on it. Is it Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Woo! Okay. I'll do this one. Keep your friends rich, your enemies rich, and wait to see which is which.
Heard of this quote, but again, I have no idea where it's from. I have nothing.
No, you...
None.
Really?
Nothing.
Hint. It's a Marvel film.
Iron Man.
Close. Avengers: Age of Ultron. How do you not get that one?
I have a question.
One of my favorite
Of all of the Marvel movie quotes you can think of, that's the quote you come with? Like, there are a ton of Marvel movies. Like, these are supposed to be quotes that anyone can get. Like, that's like not if you were naming quotes from Age of Ultron, that's not something you come. That wouldn't be. Go ahead, next.
Well, what would you say for Age of Ultron?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but that wouldn't be a movie I would quote from. I think.
Let's see. Maybe I should make these super easy. Okay, this one's a long one, but you have to know this one.
You know what? I don't trust you in anything you say. Mine are the most recognizable quotes from most of the movies. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Okay. Next time I'll make them super easy for you.
Oh yeah.
So, what are you gonna do, nice college boy? Didn't want to get mixed up in the family business? Now you want to gun down a police captain? Why? Because you slapped you in the face a little? What do you think? This like the army where you shoot them from a mile away? No, you gotta get up like this and bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit. Come here.
Again, of all the quotes from this movie, that's the quote you choose.
I love that quote.
But that's not even like the top. If you were ranking movies from that,
well, I'll make him an offer you can't refuse. Everyone knows that quote.
Or take the gun, leave the cannoli. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong, but like that is like.
If you know the premise, you'll know. If you know the premise of the movie.
Well, I'm not saying it's a hard quote. I'm just saying of the quotes from that movie. If you've never seen that movie, or that's not one you would get.
Yeah, obviously.
That's the point. Okay, but it's The Godfather.
There you go. Okay, so you got it. Okay, this one you have to know. I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too.
So here's my problem with your list. Okay, here's the problem with your list.
What?
You give me some crack movie line from Star Wars. Probably if you're ranking Star Wars quotes, it probably doesn't hit the top 50. You give me the 13th line from Godfather, and you give me one of the most memorable movie lines of all time, The Wizard of Oz.
Someone's a little triggered.
Yeah, I told you, man. You gotta come up with.
It's not a purse. It's a satchel. Besides, Indiana Jones has one.
It's a more modern film.
Yes.
I feel like it's come out in the last couple of years.
Can I answer that or no?
No.
Okay.
It's not a purse. It's a satchel. Indiana Jones wears one. I feel like Chris Evans would say something like this, but I don't think it's Chris Evans' movie. I have no idea.
Hint, it's a comedy.
Oh, because I wasn't thinking it was a comedy from your quote.
Oh, okay. Second hint. It has what's it good?
I have a feeling you haven't even seen half of these movies that you're telling me. This is the.
I'm trying to think of a hint for it without.
Have you seen
being
all of
obvious.
these movies just out of curiosity?
I've seen them.
Yeah, you saw
Except
Casablanca?
for Casablanca. Not Casablanca. I've seen little. Oh, sorry. I almost. I've seen all these movies.
Okay.
Except for Casablanca. That's only in a league of their own.
If I had given you these quotes, you would have gotten perfect?
Probably not.
Oh, okay, good. Go
But
ahead,
that's not the
continue.
point. You gave me
Continue.
movies I didn't even see,
Yeah, but
And you
all
got-
popular movies. But go
and
ahead,
I didn't get
continue.
the quotes. So, all right. So it's The Hangover.
Wait, what was? Oh yeah, wait. Okay.
Yeah. Huh?
But again, not. That's probably a good quote from.
It
the
is a
movie.
good
That's
quote.
probably
So
a good quote from the
stop
movie.
crying. It's hard, isn't it? When the shoe's on the other foot.
Oh, believe me, I play these kind of games all the time. These are tough questions. Continue.
Okay. Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. I even said it in the hint, so.
Does Brad Pitt say it?
No.
Doesn't.
No.
Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. It's a definitely sounds like a Troy movie, like maybe 300, maybe the first line in Gladiator.
Oh, there you go. Is that so hard?
No, that was actually a good line from the movie. Probably a top 3 line from the movie.
Yeah, okay. Okay. This is something I laughed really hard at. Okay, here you go. 10,000 years can give you such a crick in the neck.
That's a tough one.
Okay, that's slow. See, I had my toughies and I have my good ones. I gave you a little bit of my toughies first, and then
Yeah.
you started crying, so I had to
Yeah,
get the easy
sure.
ones for you.
Sure.
Because
What it
you're...
I believe that is Aladdin.
There you go. All right. Okay. Actually, I have a rather extensive vocabulary, not to mention a phenomenal grasp of grammar and a superlative command of syntax. I simply choose not to employ them.
Ooh. Again, this is the movie I'm thinking of. That is a tough line from the movie. So it can't be what I'm thinking of. I feel like it's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Is that your final answer?
That's my guess.
No.
Hmm.
It was Little Rascals.
Oh, so it's the same concept of person who doesn't talk very much. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Just got to go past the ones that I skipped. Okay. All right. Don't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Ooh. Again. Which one is it? I'm going to go with, is it the first or the second or the third?
What?
Oh, it's not Pirates?
No?
Oh, I'm wrong. I have no idea then. I thought it was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
You sounded like Jack Sparrow as you said the
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was trying to sound like the chick from Inception.
That's a quote from Inception?
Yeah, it's about dreams, isn't it?
When you were saying it initially, I was thinking something completely different, and then you said "darling" in like a pirate Johnny Depp accent.
Oh, my bad. I was trying to do the
And-
girl, so that was my fault.
Like go ahead, give me the last one or last two. This is
It's hard for you, eh?
yeah. Well, maybe you should ask good quotes, but go ahead.
I'm warning you. If you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Whiplash.
It's final answer.
Yeah, that's my answer. Yes.
You have to wait for them to answer.
I don't even know if it's the right answer.
Okay, well, Oh wait, we don't want to get. I almost so it is Step Brothers.
Yeah.
When he's trying to take the drums from
Yeah.
him.
Continue.
They have the fight
Give me the last
outside.
question.
See, I think someone's a little bit upset.
Yeah, I am. I was expecting some good quotes.
These are great quotes. You're just
Yeah,
a little.
We'll find out. People
Okay.
will watch this and they'll tell me.
So I screwed up. It seems like my phone. That's why my phone was weird. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it skipped to 6.
So you only
So I
have
lost
19?
my 19. But
All
I'm
right.
gonna make one out of my
So
top of
I've
my
got
head.
that's it. We're good. I got 8 out of 20, 8 out of 19. Congratulations. You picked some great quotes.
Oh, someone's a little upset.
Yeah, I was expecting
think-
good movie quotes. I bet you didn't even compose this list by yourself.
I did.
You did,
I
all by
composed the
yourself?
first four. No, first five. Actually, no, first seven was me and Dave working together, and then
Oh, so you needed help to make the list
the
because you
rest
can't make
were
some good lists by
from
yourself.
20. Oh,
Good for you.
it's whatever makes you sleep
Okay.
better at night, Mike.
All right.
Now you know how it feels.
Oh yeah.
Feel
No.
the
Oh no.
burn.
Oh no. I know how it feels because
I can't wait for next week for your quotes, and when I screw it up, I'll have to watch a bunch of movies or something like that.
I will show you. I will put good quotes that people will actually get and understand.
Maybe you just don't know movies as well as you think you do.
Oh yeah, that's. I'm sure that's what it is. All right. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Next week on the podcast, we'll be talking about How to Train Your Dragon 3, Greta, and our top 10 comedies of all time.
Comedies. All right.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a great week.
Take care, guys. See you later.